Hey friends, Allison here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another scrapbook layout that I would like to share with you. This layout is a scrap lift of one that Becki Adams had done recently. I absolutely loved it. I love her style and wanted to replicate this layout as well. I, however, switched or rotated my layout just a little bit so it would work a little bit better with my picture. Becki used a photo that was in landscape mode, and I used a photo that was in portrait. My photo is 3 by 4 inches, and it's a picture of the twins hanging out, just chilling, actually getting along. I thought the florals would work really well for a layout about the girls. Quite honestly, I love florals enough. They work for everything, and I will use them whether or not they fit the theme because I love them. So I used some papers from Becki Adams. I used papers from her new scrapbooking kit that she just released recently. And because I'm not a pocket page scrapbooker or even really a mini scrapbook maker, I thought that I would use it for my own scrapbooking, and that's the point of it, right? So I used 2 of her papers. I used the yellow one, and then I used a pink sort of bouquet pattern one as well. The bouquet one is in the background underneath the cut file that I hand stitched, which looks so amazing. I wasn't totally sure if I should do the diamonds on the inside of the cut file or not, and I went with my gut and decided that I would do it, and I'm so glad that I did because the overall effect is perfection. I cut some daisies and I'm just adding them to the layout right now. I used mint paper, I used some green, white of course, and then the pattern paper from Becki Adams scrapbooking collection. I'm looking forward to see what one is next. This one was all about hearts, and I'm curious to know what shape is going to be in the next kit. I'm looking forward to finding out. I die cut the daisies, and I also die cut the leaves that I am adding to them as well. And then of course there is another floral die cut to the right hand side of the photo mat, I guess, title mat, the panel. We'll go with that. That's a better word. I only backed part of the floral cluster die cut. I used the Becki Adams paper for that, and I just did the daisies in it. I don't know if they're actually daisies. They read like they're daisies, and so that's what I went with, and that's why I chose standalone daisies to help bulk up the floral clusters as well as just embellish my page. So I realize I'm off screen here. I'm so sorry about that. I'm still working with trying to get my camera positioned properly. I'm just working on the title right now though, so even though I'm off screen, all I'm doing is adding glue to each of the letters before sticking it to the background. I used liquid glue because with that stitching in the background, any other glue I don't think will work as well, and because the letters are so thin, liquid glue was the way to go. So I just used my Tombow Mono liquid glue. I pulled out some scrap mint colored pattern paper from my scrap bins and made a little frame for the subtitle of my layout, which is A Deep. The whole title is A Deep Connection, and this layout is about how in tune my daughter is with herself and being her own individual. Originally, when I sat down to create this layout, I wanted to go sort of in the direction of the deep connection both my girls have as twins. But as I got writing my journaling, I realized that it would work really well to highlight the connection one of the twins, my daughter Addison, has with herself and knowing what she likes and what she wants and who she wants to be. And so that's what my journaling ended up being. I wrote a whole bunch of journaling. You can see that right here. But I actually ended up editing a lot of it, even though it was handwritten. So by editing, I mean cutting parts out, literally. And shortening the journaling and making it just a bit more concise, because otherwise it would have been too long-winded, first of all. And secondly, it would have broken the barrier of the panel that it'll eventually just be glued to. And I didn't want it to go beyond the pink scallop, if that makes sense. So I cut a lot of it out, and by doing that, that's how I ended up with sharing the story about Addison being in tune with herself and forming her own identity and trying to be basically the best version of her own self. I'm just adding the date as well to this little tab. I pull out my mini stapler and staple it to the layout, but I discovered as I was doing it that my stapling skills are lacking and I need to work on it. And so I decided I actually am going to try and staple something in every layout for the next little bit. Just like I have decided recently, I haven't actually vocalized it till just now. I have decided that I'm going to stitch on every layout as well. Thanks, Allison Davis. I love the way that it looks, and it's going to be part of my crafty aesthetic. This layout is done. I am just adding a little bit of sparkle to the daisies, and here are the close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you again to Becki Adams for inspiring me with this layout. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Bye guys.